1865, the end of the Civil War, pages 4 through 6. The end of the war. The end had come. It was early spring 1865, and General Robert E. Lee realized that his exhausted Confederate army could do no more. Although Lee had said that he would rather die 1,000 deaths than surrender, he now saw no choice. The South's cause had been crushed. On April 9th, Lee put on a fresh uniform. He rode wearily on his horse to meet U.S. General Ulysses S. Grant at a private home in the town of Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia. He arrived at the house and sat down to wait. Half an hour later, Grant made his appearance. Clad in an old muddy uniform, the two generals engaged in friendly conversation. Then they got down to the business of ending the war. What else Lee surrendered? When the Civil War broke out, President Lincoln offered Robert E. Lee command of the Union armies. Lee declined, saying he could not fight against his beloved state of Virginia. After Lee departed to join the Confederacy, the U.S. government took his estate, Arlington. The grounds of the estate, located across the Potomac River from Washington, D.C., became Arlington National Cemetery. Slavery and the Union. In the decades leading up to the Civil War, the North and the South were already divided. One important difference was slavery. The North was a region of growing industry and small farms, with large-scale agriculture playing a lesser part in the economy. Although slavery had existed in the North, all of the northern states had outlawed the practice by 1804. The South was a much different world. Its economy built on cotton. Southern plantation owners had chosen to use the labor of enslaved people to plant and harvest cotton. By the mid-1800s, nearly 4 million black people were enslaved in the southern states. They were forced to do many jobs, but most lived and worked on cotton plantations. At the same time, Northern abolitionists were trying to end slavery in the South. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 was a federal law that made a fugitive from one state a fugitive in every state. It required people in free states to return anyone who escaped slavery to their enslavers. Yet some Northerners helped people to escape slavery. Still, the Civil War might have never happened if the United States had remained a small group of states in the eastern part of the continent. Instead, during the 1800s, the nation was expanding into huge areas of land forcibly taken from native peoples to the west. Those territories were becoming states, and Congress had decided whether new states would allow slavery. The southern states wanted to keep a rough balance between the states that allowed slavery and free states. If free states outnumbered states where slavery was legal, Southern representatives would be outnumbered in Congress. Since the representatives from free states would not share the interests of the South and would likely vote against Southern representatives on various issues. The balance between the states on the issues of slavery was maintained for several decades, but tensions between North and South were growing.